What up, y'all? Today's episode of the RV Voice is brought to you by RV Fix. And let me tell you, if you've ever found yourself stranded with an RV issue miles from the nearest service center, you know how frustrating that can be. Well, that's where RV Fix comes in. Imagine having a master RV tech right in your pocket. Yeah, you heard that right. With RV Fix, all it takes is a quick phone call and boom, you're connected via video call with an expert who can guide you through fixing your issue, saving you both time and money. Then here's the kicker. Try RV Fix risk-free with a 14-day free trial. You'll need to enter your card number just like most subscriptions, but don't worry, you won't be charged until after the trial ends. If you decide to continue, please use the code RVVoice at checkout. This really helps support the RV Voice and keeps us going strong, and we really appreciate it. Seriously, guys, this is a game changer. Stay on the road and keep your RV in tip-top shape with RV Fix. Learn more at rvfix.com.
Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Damian, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Welcome to another episode of the RV Voice. Today, we're sitting with my co-host, Shane Larson. Thank you for being here. And we have a very special guest from the northeastern part of the States. His name is Damian Napodano, or Instagram socially known as the American Adventurer. He's traveling about 2 years full-time in a Grand Design 2600 RV Imagine. So, welcome, Damian.
Hello. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Hey, buddy. This is the second time we tried to meet. So, yes. I'm glad to have you back on. We were going good last week, and some storm came through, and whatever. We're glad to have you back, buddy.
We're back. Yeah,
how's everything going this week so far?
Roaring Rapid, and it was quite stormy. Most of our neighbors ended up evacuating, but the host told us we were fine to stay since we were up on the hill, and it ended up being fun. Sit through the storm, get to watch it and all. And now the brook right behind us has went all the way back down, so it came full circle.
You call it a brook out there? Is that like a creek?
Yeah. So the way it works out here is we're in upstate New York right now, so you have creeks, and the creeks have spurs, and that matters when you're buying a property because you can dam a spur, but you can't touch a creek. So then you have brooks as well. So you have they all feed into each other, and then up here everything's kind of built along the Susquehanna River. So you have Butternut, which runs. I'm right next to that too. This runs into that, which goes to the rivers, which then goes to the towns, basically.
That sounds like a bad math problem.
Yeah, where I'm at, it's creek or river. Dude, no creeks, it's creek.
Got the creeks.
Oh, it's Skull Creek. We do have actual one creek, but most of them are creeks. Anyway, buddy. So, glad to have you on here, but let's talk about your personal journey. Kind of started off that way. What inspired you to start full-timing, transition into that from, I guess, the normal lifestyle of the U.S. people? Can you share your story about that? Kind of walk us through all that.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess growing up, I had about as stereotypical of a regular movie style upbringing you could have in a middle class suburb town. From outside of New York area, it's a little area. It's Greenbrook is what it's called, but it's effectively a New York suburb in New Jersey. People commute there, whatever. So I was going to school there. That was going pretty well. High school was completely fine. I started college and I went to community college. Community college was all right, but it wasn't quite the social experience I was looking for. A lot of my friends who went away to the state schools that had a lot more fun than me, basically. Community college, a lot more in and out, kind of get the work done people. And you're planning to transfer, right? So you don't really make long-term connections because you're going to transfer soon. So I did end up transferring. I switched from Raritan Valley to Rutgers. And unfortunately, while I was there, my dad got diagnosed with cancer. He did pass away from that very quickly. That was all within 1 year. So I withdrew for one semester. And then I started school again at Fairleigh Dickinson, going for an MBA. One semester into that, COVID happened, so I was back home, and I was spending time at home with my friends from home, but again, college wasn't quite the social or exciting experience that I was hoping it would be. So I buckled down, got a lot of work done. I ended up getting really into investing in crypto during that whole phase in 2020. That certainly helped with the trip too. I still do a lot of that. And then I also I have an MBA. I started a digital marketing company with one of the executives. I did an internship at a pharmaceutical company. So anyway, I was doing all that. Life was very boring, but I was stacking resources pretty effectively, and I knew I wanted to do something fun, so I drew up some plans for what the future could look like. I chose my 25th birthday as when I would take off. I'm 26 now, and I came up with the plan of doing either the RV trip or the world trip, which will become significant later. So make these plans. Fast forward to April of 2022. That's when I went to the MSF course to get my motorcycle license. And while I was there, some girl took her helmet off, and as soon as I saw her hair fall down, I fell in love with her. Sure enough, 2.5 years later, she's in the trailer right now. She's a little camera shy, so she doesn't want to come out. I got the chair set up, but yeah. So that was nice. We clicked really well. It was a short little rip down the highway to go see her on the motorcycle, so that worked great. She actually is from China. She was an exchange student, so I told her about my idea of the world trip, and we booked a flight to Spain together. She was just willing to go with me where I said was the place to go. So booked the tickets. I started looking into the visa processes. It's actually really complicated to travel as a U.S. citizen and a Chinese citizen together through a bunch of countries. So we pretty quickly realized that wasn't our best move, and we scrapped those plans. I came back to the old sketches I had. We found the RV. She actually didn't know what RVs were, and I had never even been in one at this time. We just decided we would do RV life. So we had about a month and a half or so to leave. We went out, looked at pickup trucks. This was during COVID, so all of the prices on trucks were ridiculously high. So we ended up getting the truck we have now. I love that thing. It's a 2020 Power Wagon. Got a great deal on it because it was used and all the new trucks were overpriced. So that's a fun one. But then we had the truck. After that, I looked for a trailer. So the criteria we had for having a trailer, since it was two of us, we knew that we wanted to have a separate bedroom, and we knew we wanted a rear bath model. So we also wanted a wide living space. So it turns out that the Grand Design 2600 RB is designed to be wheelchair accessible. So you're supposed to be able to roll the wheelchair from all the way in the bathroom in the back, RB, rear bath, to the bedroom in the front, and the slide out is pretty big. I think it's like 15 or 18 feet, somewhere around there. So it becomes a large living space, and it just works great for two people. There's a lot of times where Ching will be in the bedroom and I'll be in the living room. It's almost like we're in different houses. So that just worked well for us. There was one for sale right in our budget. We had $20,000 for the trailer, and it was $21,000. But I offered the guy on Facebook my $20,000 for it. He said yes. Tried to ride out there. That motorcycle that I restored to go see her and all that ended up dying on the way out there. But we made it work and got to see her. There's a lot of small disasters that end up being okay on our trips. So we get that going. Yeah, and then it's time to leave. So September 24th, my birthday rolls around. We have no real plans. I just know I'm headed generally south. I had missed the boys' trip to New Orleans for Mardi Gras, so I kind of wanted to go there. Winter was coming up. First time I wouldn't be cold, so we went to New Orleans was the plan. We started leaving. We made it exactly 200 miles, and then at the first gas station, I clipped the cement pillars that guard the pumps and unhooked the slide. So we brought it right back home. On the way home, I was running out of gas again. So I put in Apple Maps to go to a Sunoco, I believe it was, and I pulled up and it was just a traffic cone. There was no gas in sight, so we literally ran out of gas on the way home to be saved by a farmer somewhere in up north in New Jersey. So thank you, that guy. He just had a little 5-gallon on him that he could fill us up with. So we get home. I was feeling pretty defeated pretty bad there, honestly. That was a rough one. So we're back home. And I figured we'd set it for 2 weeks out. It happened to be Columbus Day, so I figured like an exploratory day, October 10th. So we picked that as just happened to be 2 weeks out too. Trailer guy who was fixing it, who bought it from, actually said he could get it ready by then, so he did. That was very helpful too. Trailer was kind of fixed, our slide, so that leads to a few funny stories in the future too. We'd have to close it, like I'd have to push with my leg against the bottom while Ching held the button in the far front corner, so that was like go. Eventually that fell out in Iowa. The motor just fell clean out. It was under the trailer. So yeah, we while we were home, I had to come up with a plan, right? And I didn't really know how to RV or where to book camps. So I booked a regular campground, figuring that it would have the hookups needed to dump the tanks. And then I had downloaded the app Harvest Hosts, which would be critical. We're at camp spot number 198 right now. 165 of those have been at Harvest Host or Boondockers Welcome locations. So that is probably the main way we RV. We're not really big RV camp people. We're at one right now, though we tend to keep it moving a lot more. So yeah, that was that. Fast forward to October 10th, we hit the road again. This time I successfully got gas without hitting the cement post, so I was very proud of myself for that. And then it was time for what I thought would be like one of the most daunting tasks of RVing, dumping the black tank. So we bought it and the guy actually didn't dump the tanks, so that was really unfortunate too. Really gross. Yeah. So I hook everything up. I had this like little note, like a Post-it, and I wrote out like the 20-something steps that were taken to dump the tanks. And I go through it all, and I go to turn the water on, and there's no water to dump it at that tank or at the dump station. So all the liquid's gone. Basically, it gets hard. It's an unfortunate thing that happens in RV life. And then we just had somebody come out and fix that the next day. We moved to a different camp that had everything. And then after that, things started to get a lot better. We spent a few more nights at that camp this was right near Shenandoah, and then we moved south towards New Orleans, and that's where things basically went well. I guess that's how we get on the road. I don't know how much more you want me to go. Like, there's still over a year of adventure from this point, so.
Man, well, geez and Pete's, you had a lot going on, and you're still doing it, so good on you.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah. So you kind of hit like preparation and planning. You kind of had it all mapped out, it sounds like. But full-time in RV is not like, that's no joke. Like, it's a totally different downsize from living in an apartment, house, whatever you were doing beforehand. Like, what are some specific steps that you did to plan for that? Because it's a total downsize and more of a minimalistic lifestyle. So kind of walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah. Definitely. So I had years to research it, and even though I was pivoting towards doing the world trip plan, I actually had I'd read books on like RV life, like Handbook to RVing, Full-Time RV Guides, everything like that. And I found lists of the items that they had, and I would cross-reference the lists with each other to find what the actual essentials were. And while I didn't bring stuff, I think I ended up using everything I've brought so far at this point, but some of the things really only got used once or twice, like the bottle jacks, right? Like, I actually only needed to use that one time, stuff like that. So anyway, that was part of the preparation, was a lot of reading books like that, but actually sending it on the RV trip, I made an Amazon order, right? It was a like $5,000 or $6,000 Amazon order, and it was all just sitting in the cart, and I was just waiting to pull the trigger. So I had like the ideal camping chairs I wanted, I had the tables, I had like the knives, the plates, everything. It was just a matter of basically getting the trailer home and then pressing order and packing the trailer as it came. So it was a lot of that kind of research. It would be my first time moving out in any capacity. I guess to kind of touch on that, I had lived in, it's like a 4-bedroom house on like half an acre. So you have space and stuff like that. And so that was the big change. However, I was prepared to just adapt to moving out and living on my own, and like as a new thing anyway. So it was just all a learning curve, like everything from even honestly, like just going to the grocery store. I was used to just like food appearing in the fridge and that kind of thing. So, meaning my mom like grocery shopping, but yes. Yeah,
fridge downsize, that's a big difference for me. I find that like my little cooler when I go on a 2-day trip, maybe, I'm pushing it. Like, at least I have places to stop, but it would be a little tougher when you're full-time in an RV.
Well,
definitely, though, running out of food often can actually be a kind of good thing, because it gets you to go out and try more local places. So you end up getting like kind of more of a local flavor as you move, right? Because you have to go grocery shopping every 3-4 days. So
you're great at documenting that stuff. You always talk about where you're at and what you're doing, and like, I mean, if you ever look at his stuff, follow him if you haven't followed him already. So give him a follow. But yeah, he does a great job at like, hey, this is what we're doing today. You come check it out. You did that falls place recently, I saw. Then you do other little parks and stuff like that. You do a great job at that. So keep going.
Yeah, I guess the way I try to approach making content, this is mostly just to share like my experiences and document my memories for both myself and my family. Like, I don't make any money on social media. I never have. Even I used to do social media stuff back in like 2016, and I certainly could have back then. I'm not going to get at the top because Instagram doesn't like that one. But basically, you can, like, I was able to, and I just never felt right doing that. Like, I don't know. I just feel like once you start monetizing your content, you become a bit disingenuous. So I just post my stories. The stories are what I'm up to. I've done that since Snapchat came out when I was like 17 in high school. I would just make stories and post it to my friends, like just little groups. So I just post that for anybody who wants to see it now. And then that's about a year behind, frankly. So if you see a story, that's what I'm currently up to. Now I'm going back and I'm editing those stories that I have. It's over 10,000 pictures and videos. I'm editing those into actual like watchable vlogs rather than just raw content. So I have a few hundred more videos to make with the content I already have.
Wow, that's awesome. You got a lot of content coming down the pipeline. Damian, I wanted to kind of touch base on this. We'll kind of piggyback off of what you were just talking about. Just the managing the everyday, tasks that go on as a full-time RVer. You document a lot of that stuff. We talked about, going grocery shopping, different places that you go, but like, laundry, cooking, cleaning, the little things like that. How do you manage that? That's the kind of content that I actually really like. I think that's why full-time RVers, anybody who does like a vlog of their daily life, is so intriguing, because as content consumers, we enjoy seeing the behind the scenes stuff and just like, what is it really like to, now it's cool to like see the fun stuff, but what's it like on a day-to-day basis? Like having to do all the nitty gritty stuff that you have to do normally when you're at home too.
Oh man, so like, I guess it's a smaller space, so you can clean it quickly, but if you sneeze too hard, all the dirt comes back somehow. So you're always cleaning. There's a lot of cleaning, especially when you're in like a larger house. It's easier to miss the messes because you're just in different rooms. But when all of your rooms are basically one room, you see everything all the time. Yeah. So if we were inside right now, like we wanted to play Xbox, right? So we got one. My wife had never played like a game console before, being from China. So we got an Xbox, but right now we have our cooler set up with a mini desk on top and like a a computer monitor on it. So you can't really open the cabinets to get into the pantry without pulling all of that forward. So there's always an extra step before you do anything. Like if I wanted to go sit down right now, I'm almost certain I'd have to move, be it like a blanket, a laptop, an iPad, something out of the way. So that's one of the big challenges there. I guess going out is actually a lot of fun. Like we enjoy going places and shopping and stuff like that. So getting groceries has never been like too bad. Not going to go too big on that one again. Though there is a good amount of maintenance that comes with living in an RV. I guess depending on how you approach full-time RVing, because there's very different styles. Our style, we would typically move 50 to 100 miles every day or two. And when you do that, that means that your house has an hour to 2 hour long earthquake every day or two. So I was fixing everything that could possibly need to be fixed. I've stopped keeping track of the projects I've done on this trailer. But when you're... Oh, no. So I'll take a second. So yeah, that's the other side of it. Is there's a lot more maintenance than living in a house. Like my dad passed away, right? So a lot of the maintaining the house at home was on me. It's a bigger house. It definitely takes effort to maintain that. So I learned how to be handy through all that. And I'm used to maintaining a regular house. And an RV, like, it's funny when people are like, oh yeah, you have to maintain a house too. It's like, yeah, but not even close to what you're going to be doing on this. If you're full-timing it and moving it every day. We're parked right now, so nothing's broken in 2 weeks. So.
That's super intriguing. And it kind of rolls right into my next question. Oh, go ahead. What? Yesterday I had to replace the pulley to make the couch recline. That snapped, so I had to change that. So that's small
all the time.
That's perfect though, because it goes along with what we're going to say. So with the maintenance and the repairs, you just talked about that, how you have to kind of handle them. Do you have any resources you go to, Damian, like YouTube channels or anything to like learn how to repair these after those quote unquote mini earthquakes that you guys go through every time you move the RV?
Yeah, I guess it would depend on the situation. So I guess a perfect example was one that I really needed help with but couldn't find somebody to help me with, which I believe your service would have been perfect for. I needed to replace the vacuum valve in the black tank. So where, when you're flushing it out, the water, it stops it from flowing backwards. And on my trailer, it's just not in the spot that it is on the other Grand Design ones. Typically on a Grand Design trailer, it'll be behind the shower knobs. On the model I have, it is under the shelves against the back wall. So I searched everywhere, found everywhere on the internet. I couldn't find anything on it. Eventually, I brought it to a service station. When the motor fell out in Iowa, the slide motor fell out. That's when I got that fixed too. I just brought it to a service center. By chance, I had it booked. Our next spot would be a Harvest Host Service Center in that area. So that worked great. But yeah, that was a big one. I guess right now, the only other resource I would really turn to, aside from just YouTubing a specific problem, such as how to change the couch pulley lever, would be Grand Design themselves. They have a really, really good factory tour and service there. After you do that, they keep in touch with you. And any questions, you can reach out and they get back to you very quickly. So that's been nice too.
Oh, that's super nice. Super, super nice. And then just to touch base on BishFix, I mean, you did mention that our service would have been good in that particular situation. We just want to shout out BishFix. If you guys haven't checked out our service there, it's there you go. There. Fantastic opportunity to, take advantage of this awesome, I guess, industry changing model of service. If you guys hit up 866 BishFix or click the link that's there, hit this QR code here on the screen, you guys can check out our service. It's extremely affordable with everything that comes along with it.
Absolutely, buddy. So you talked about challenges, but like, let's talk about financial aspects. So you kind of work remote. You said you started digital marketing. You said you could monetize your social media, but you said, nah, you don't want to do that. That's totally cool. But like being your own handy self and doing that,
Well,
like that helps a lot with budgeting and saving money and sustaining this lifestyle. Because if you, with BitchFix, I mean, people, if you don't use that, I mean, you could be 3 months in the service lot, which is not fun. So financially aspects, how do you sustain this lifestyle? And what are some budgeting tips that you would like, tell somebody?
okay,
Oh.
so I guess you got to just have faith in yourself and make it happen, right? Like, honestly, I've run out of money a few times on this trip. And when that happens, I just stop and I start working again. So I guess that's part of it. I get lucky with stock trades and swings and stuff. And I guess, like, honestly, I just use a credit card, right? So, like, if I just spend a certain amount, I know if I go over that, then I don't have the assets to back that up anymore. And, like, I have the ratios I'm comfortable with. So it's all part of that, right? Like, you got to figure out what you're comfortable with. I guess I have a pretty big tolerance for not having that much money left, as long as I'm doing the thing that makes me happy, which is like living in the RV with my wife and having a good time. I feel pretty successful. We are under contract on a property right now, so we will be slowing down a bit, though we will be full-timing still while doing that. Part of RV life, right, is it creates new opportunities that you otherwise wouldn't be able to think about. We found a property that had a single-wide trailer on it in 2008. They removed it. The financial collapse happened way back then, and it's just been sitting since then. We love this area. We have friends around here, so we were drawn to it. And just asking around, we found the deal, made an offer, got a pretty good one. It was honestly $60,000 for 13 acres. And if we clear out the little, it's like mossy and overgrown, we could put the RV on that. And then upstate New York has better paying jobs than where I'm from in central New Jersey right now. So I sold jacuzzis for a couple months not too long back, and that got the money going again for me to then be doing this right now. Yeah, so I worked selling jacuzzis for a little bit at Sun Pools in Greenbrook, jacuzzis and above ground pools. So I had worked there. That was my first job ever. So whenever I'm really in a pinch, honestly, I just go right back there, and then I have a great relationship with them. So I already know how to do everything. So it's very easy to just go right back in and out there. So that's how I made it work. Up here, I guess I'll probably do similar. So we'll see what happens.
Perfect, man. That's awesome. Because I mean, hey, you gotta be a jack of all trades, master of some. You're doing a great job with the RV thing. And speaking of that, you said you kind of made your friend group, and you kind of want to stay in that area, right? So community and connection. I mean, you already built your following.
Yes.
You got a decent following on Instagram, TikTok as well, and you kind of just teaching everybody about what you do and about all the places around. So kind of like, how do you stay connected with your friends? I mean, it sounds like you're staying in the same area because you build a friend group there. But how did you stay connected with everybody while you were traveling?
Yeah, so on the trip, right, like, so I've stayed close with the same guys my whole life. Like, a lot of them back to kindergarten, first grade, and yeah, those are the long ones. The shorter friendships are years now. So everybody I've known for a long time. And I do have new friends too, of course, but like I have all my old relationships. So the way we really stayed in touch, right, like 10 years ago, we were playing Call of Duty together. So on the trip, I'd just laptop and Starlink, play some Call of Duty with them when I was missing them. Wintertime, they always play Warzone because it's free. So everybody's on it. And then that's just like, you can spend an hour talking to the guys again. And that's about that. As we got older, we stopped seeing each other as much anyway. Just people got significant others, get busy with work or whatever. So, and everybody knows, like, you don't need to talk constantly for the friendships to still be good. Like, everybody still has each other. So
there's a quote, and I believe the movie I Love You, Man, I think, and he's talking about his best friend. He's like, yeah, I haven't talked to him in years. Still best friends? He's like, yeah. Still my best friend. I haven't spoken to him in years. Lordy, yeah.
That's fine.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So Damian, when you mentioned in this interview at the very beginning, you talked about some of the struggles you guys went through just to even get on the road, right? And then you talked about a couple other things, the experiences you've gone through. Have you looked back at all of it up until this point, right? Just up until now, there's been a ton of experiences, different locations you guys have been at. You just mentioned the property that you guys are under contract for, all the cool things. You're with your wife. You have these experiences. What would be your favorite experience thus far that you guys have had since being on the road?
Okay, my favorite experience so far. I was thinking about that question. That's a tough one. I think the favorite experience has been, and it's kind of like a cop-out answer, right? But it's like developing the confidence in ourselves together, because honestly, I couldn't do this without Ching, to be happy and do our thing anywhere. We've been to almost 200 campsites now. Our route ran from New Jersey to New Orleans, around the whole coast of Florida to Seattle, and then back to New Jersey in about a year. I had to fix everything. I had suspension blowouts, like everything I had to do. I had water pumps, like it's been a lot, you know? And yeah, so it was just developing the confidence that we're going to be all right anywhere. That really hit me about 2 or 3 months into the trip when we got to Louisiana. That was the first time that I set up camp, looked around, and was like, wow, like everything was muscle memory from that point. So yeah, I guess that's a big part of having moved so much too, is we can be ready to move. Like right now, we could be on the road in confidently 20, 25 minutes and then set up in maybe 15. And that's just because we've done it so many times. Like as I'm holding the button to raise the tongue jack, I'm also unhooking clips or whatever. Ching's putting the chocks in place, putting the wheels in place. Like we've become such like a single unit that works together. That's been the best part.
That's really cool. It's something that not a lot of people can talk about, really. Like they don't have that experience. Plus, just to touch base on where you've been, you just said like where your whole trail has been, like throughout the whole South and the East Coast all the way up. Not a lot of people have done that either. Not a lot of people, like myself included. Like I can't say I've been to like maybe 6 or 7 states in the United States over the course of 35 years. Yeah, loser. I know. I think that's just so cool, though. You've had the opportunity to travel, and not only just travel, but travel with your significant other, and I think that's a really cool thing. Do you feel like it's been worth it? Like if you were to look back, all those things you just said, the suspension and everything, is it worth it?
Definitely. So, and all of that makes you so much more confident in future plans, right? Like now, like I have spare suspension pieces, so if the suspension blows, I won't even need to call the service center. I could just I always ask. I never like impose, right? But I always do ask the service techs if they could at least explain what's going on. I'm not going to ask them to show me the whole process, but they're always very receptive to that too. So they walked me right through it. The guy who came out, and he assured me I could definitely do it on my own. And looking at the project, I probably can. I restored a 90s motorcycle and a Mustang, so I do have a good amount of like mechanical work there. So I am confident in that aspect. So yeah, I'd say it's totally worth it though. Even the moments that like you're thinking like this kind of sucks, like you end up being happy, right? Like I don't like deserts, so neither does Ching. So we were out in like Utah and Idaho, and it was like 97 degrees plus, and we were in the shower, like we would just pour the water on ourselves and then go stand in front of the fan. And we're like, why aren't we just home in New Jersey in our air-conditioned house right now? But then you look outside, right, and like you see all like the amazing nature, or you just drive 100 more miles and you're in some lush green forest, and you think like, wow, what an incredible experience. I'm not going to rush right back to that, but I'm thankful I did it.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, so doing a trip like that, it's not an easy feat by no means. And doing what you're doing, like just deciding to be a full-time RVer, not an easy feat. So advice for beginners, what would you tell people? Like, hey, this is what you need to do. These 1, 2, 3 for sure's before you actually start this thing. Walk us through that. Kind of like talk about those things. Wow. Like that's a lot going on.
So I actually wrote it up, but anyway, I guess the first idea would be to have a long-term vision, but short-term plans. There were so many times that I had to scrap like months I had to plan out. So keep in mind, I did one or two nights at a camp spot, right? So I'd plan a month or two out, which could seriously be 50 camp sites. So that's a lot of requesting to stays, a lot of communicating with people. Doing it through Harvest Hosts, there wasn't necessarily like the payments or anything to manage like that. So that was a lot simpler than if you were to book it at campgrounds like that. But so many times the weather would roll through, we'd have to change. A perfect example, we were staying in Gulfport, Mississippi, and it was Thanksgiving at this time. So I was talking to the family. They had invited the family that we were staying with through Boondockers Welcome. You could stay at private land, had invited us into their home for Thanksgiving. Very thankful for that too. So we were having a meal with them, and I was talking to the husband of the family, and he explained to me that my plan of being warm by going to Texas simply wasn't going to work because Texas isn't warm in the winter. So I would have thought it was, right? But he was right. As somebody who was looking for 70 or 80 degree weather this winter, the Texas wasn't going to work. That's closer to 60. So granted, it's not cold compared to New Jersey, but I want it to be hot, so you know. So that's a situation where you have to change plans and like that kind of thing. Just to enjoy myself.
Absolutely, definitely. So, kind of adding on to that. Well, shoot, where were we? My bad. Yeah. So you had to plan out ahead of time, like a lot, quite a bit. I mean, 2 days at one spot is a lot. I mean, a lot moving. That's too much going on.
Yeah.
Luckily, you guys know how to set up and set down, whatever, that real quick. But still, that becomes a lot. So, what's the future plans? I mean, like, I know you said you're talking about moving into a place or moving into a permanent lot, but are you guys still going to plan out long trips and all that?
Definitely, yeah. So even with the property, we aren't necessarily planning on settling down. If you remember in the beginning, I touched on that I had originally planned a world trip, but we just didn't because I changed citizenship and all that. Good news, she actually just got a green card not that long ago, so we can actually start traveling and stuff again internationally. So that's very exciting. I've never even left the country. I went to the Bahamas once as a kid, and that was that. And before the trip, I'd only been to 2 or 3 states. Now it's over 30. So
Nice.
really, that was pretty fast. So the world trip plan, we're trying to do 2 or 3 weeks in every country. Her being from China kind of sets that as our first one. I'll be going to China most likely at the end of this year. I guess for more detailed plans, I'm looking at going from Shanghai to Nanchang and maybe somewhere else. But that would be the plan. Go to China and then either come back to New York and make it work there. Or I've always wanted to do a motorcycle trip through Vietnam. So while I'm out there, maybe.
Dude,
We
we get along great. I have 3 bikes in my garage. I used to flip 70s and 80s motorcycles for fun.
Oh, yeah?
Hondas typically because they're the easiest to work on in that time frame.
Yes.
They're so easy and they run forever. I still got a 1972 Honda 350.
Oh, beautiful.
Absolutely.
The first bike I got to try to restore was, I think it was a 71 Triumph Trophy. My dad he had a garage door company and the customer couldn't afford the door, so he just did a trade for the bike. And like, if you hit the Kickstarter, right, it turned over. So like, it was close to starting. I know that now, but back when I was 13 or 14, my friend and I, what do they do on all the restoration shows when they get a new project bike? They take every bolt out and clean every part. So my dad leaves for 2 or 3 hours and he comes back and we have every single bolt out of the bike and on the ground in the garage. Didn't mark a single thing, didn't take a single picture.
That's an accident. That's an accident.
Yeah. So,
That's funny.
and then my current bike is a 96 VFR 750 and the Honda VFR 750. And that's been great. Those having electrical problems. So I'll probably
A little
replace it
cruiser.
with a 300 Rally.
Yeah. Well, what do you got?
Well, I mean, last question we would have for you, if you just want to share any of your favorite gizmos, gadgets, anything that you have added to your trip there. I mean, you got the Xbox in there too. Like, is there anything that you would share as far as your favorite RV gadgets that you've brought on the trips with you?
Yeah, I guess like very useful things we could see. I'll just pick you up. Like these. Oh, I don't have them here. So anyway, I have leveling chocks that would otherwise have made, like, you roll up on them and they raise the wheels to different heights that would then allow you to get leveled. Those have been a huge time saver. We actually didn't use them until about halfway through our trip. And then after we started using them, we're like, what were we doing? Stacking wood and trying to make ourselves like climb up onto the hills. So that was a huge time saver. As we got further south and then west, the gnats actually got smaller, interestingly, so they could go right through the screens. And we got these like Raid bug lights. So they're night lights that you plug in, and they're tall like that, and then they have 2 little tall spots. And the front one reflects the light, and the back one has a sticky on it, and they just get stuck to the sticky pad. We have a garden set up in our bathroom, which is nice, but also creates a ton of bugs. Like every time you put the plants out, right, all the bugs land on the plants. And then you have to shake them a little bit so you get most of them off, but then you put them back in the RV, and then, like, you know, the bug thing fills up again, so clearly they were there. So that's been a nice one.
Yeah. What do you have for a
Kind
garden?
of. I mean, they don't always live. We have 1 oregano alive right now, so we're 1 for 5 on the current garden. It was going way better when we were out west, actually, but that's all right.
Weird. Yeah.
Yeah,
The bug thing, the bug light, I've never heard about the bug light, so that's awesome. I'm going to make one point on the leveling blocks. Most
Yes.
travel trailers do not have auto leveling. Very few do. And the jacks are not auto. They're not leveling jacks. They're stabilizers. So when you're walking, just so if you hear this, I'll put this out there, but like they're not leveling jacks. So leveling blocks are great for, like what you're saying, just leveling it out saves a lot of time.
This little level right here, this is another super helpful one. We would have like one of those like 3-foot long framing levels, because that's just the one that I had at home. And we would like, I guess it was more accurate, but this little T, you throw it on the floor, and that's how you know your level. So we just been using that guy. That's a super useful one that I didn't think of till you mentioned that.
Perfect.
That's perfect. Yeah.
$3 to $5.
Yeah, I think
awesome.
so. Like maybe $3 at a gas station. I saw that and grabbed it.
Awesome,
that's
buddy.
awesome.
Well, lastly, let's talk about your door here. You've been around the country. You got all these stickers. You said you want to talk about it, so let's talk about it.
Oh yeah, so the sticker door, that's been one of the more fun collections. So it started in Florida. That was right there. They gave us the sticker, and then we've just been spiraling our way through. So I won't get it like too specific with all of them because they might be a little hard to see. But basically, I like it because you can kind of follow the journey along where we went by just seeing where the stickers are. You could see, like you could create the path. And I do have a lot that documents where we've been. I have other stickers on the side that show like the state maps. I have the national parks with like their little emblems. And then inside I have like maps printed out with the routes we've drawn. I could send you pictures if you want to add them there too. But that's been a lot of the fun. It feels like you're making progress. And then the sticker wall goes up a good bit as well. And that's been kind of fun too, because everybody who like comes up to our camp, when you're at an RV camp, like you don't have much privacy, right? Like there's a neighbor 10 feet to each side. So when they come up, like everybody just points out a sticker and it's something to talk about right away. Even little kids, like at the top, we threw a Pokemon all the way at the top. So little kids are always like, oh, that's Mewtwo. And then you're like, yeah, it is. And then, like, just easier flowing with the families that you meet. So
So on that point, you made some friends, like going on your camping travels. Have you like stay connected with those people?
Yeah. So I guess the most fun RV friendship we made was probably camp spot 2 or 3. We met this couple, Justin and Danny. It was a boondocker welcome spot it's just a horse pasture that they just don't have horses in anymore. So we were set up in different corners. And I guess on the topic too, if you're under 30, you are not going to meet many people your age on the RV life. I didn't. They are the only couple under 30 that I met on the entire journey. I think they're over 30 now. But I don't know. But anyway, so we met them in Virginia, and then we were in Louisiana staying at this guy Robert's property, which is another boondocker's welcome spot. And while we were there, they were actually booked to fill our spot after we left. So we actually have a very good relationship with Robert. So we just asked him to let us stay another night so we could see them. He was all for that. So we ended up getting to see them again there. And then I think it was in Florida, we actually ran into each other one more time. Just no planned at all. It just happened to cross paths and be near each other. And they introduced us to another RV couple down in Florida, I think that was. That might have been Tennessee. That's where it gets a little messy too, like trying to keep track of all the memories. So.
Well, I bet, dude, you've been around the country, been 30 states, and you had you've been doing it for 2 years. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to remember. But, dude, it's been awesome. Awesome talking to you. You have a great story. If you haven't followed The American Adventure, follow him right now. Give him a share, give him a like, all those things. And then as well, follow us. We're going to be talking to influencers. We're going to be talking to manufacturer reps, industry experts, all these things, man. Damian, it's been a pleasure having you. You have anything else to say to people?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I guess it's going to sound a little cheesy, but if you have a dream, just send it and make it happen. A lot of people in my family passed away pretty young. They all had visions for a future that didn't come true. So if you wait, there's a good chance it doesn't happen. And like you start building a different life and it gets harder and harder, right? Like I couldn't have done this trip the same way if I had kids or something like that, or even owning this property. I now have a tether to New York. So there's nothing that's like having the freedom of not really any responsibilities while you're doing it. And the longer you wait and the more of a life you build, the harder it gets to walk away from and do that. So just if you have a vision, just make it happen. You're never going to know everything you need to, and you're going to fall over a lot while you go, but you'll just keep learning, getting up, and you'll make it work.
Dude, failure is a necessity. Got to have it.
That's true. That is
and
true.
Just send it straight from Damian, straight from the horse's mouth. He did it. He did it. He made it happen. He's killing it. There it is right there, straight from the horse's mouth. Awesome, Damian. Shane, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks.
Damian, thank you so much. You keep going out there, buddy. I'm excited for you. I'm happy for you. And stay tuned for more from the RV Voice, y'all.